Hello. Jackie, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi,
Good.
Jackie.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm gonna call us to order at 7:01 PM. Members present are Representative Chase, Representative Fritchie, Representative Massett at the moment. Senator Gardner, Norman, and Scott are not here at the present time.
Yes.
Four, we have four. So we're gonna do our new business and we're not gonna wait. Representative Chase would like to read the American Rescue Plan Act for Mike Groton. Record for me, please.
2023-467-2 American Rescue Plan Act by Groton. Resolution approving an additional $15,000 of the American Rescue Plan Act funds to Bike Groton for the bike pump track. Whereas Bike Groton was originally awarded $25,000 in ARPA funds by the town council, the contribution to the bike pump track, and whereas Bike Groton has raised $80,000 in donations for the development of the track that will also be given to the town for programs after construction, whereas the original bids for the project came in higher than expected. Whereas Bike Groton needs to raise an additional $30,000 for the project, and has requested an additional close the gap between what has been raised expected costs. Now therefore be it resolved that the town council authorizes $50,000 ARPA funds to Bike Groton for the bike pump track project. And be it further resolved that the Groton representative town meeting approved town council $1,000 from ARPA funds to Bike Groton for the bike track project.
And we do have Brian with Mike Groton here with us. You have multiple people there for this.
Yes, that would be great.
And just so you know, and everybody should have a copy of their submittal in their packet. That's like their request. You can see the plans for the contract with them.
And Megan,
Look at the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
thank you for coming, Megan.
And just,
I'm sorry, I didn't say hi.
and then, and just, where we're at on ARPA dollars, the town had received, about 8.6 million in ARPA dollars. We've allocated about 8.4, about 185,000 or so unencumbered right now. However, we do anticipate a fair amount of encumbered funds not being spent. If you recall, we, for instance, set aside 1.4 million for the E-wall. I don't anticipate that will, since the grant. Yeah, so they did get it, but they didn't know the exact cost of it. They won't know until although some might need some of our money. I don't
But it's not
anticipate it.
gonna be the whole amount.
Hopefully, yeah. That's what we think. So we'll see. So we should
still have the 1.4 for them set aside.
set aside. Not
And you
out,
don't-
not official out there. It's covered right now.
Right. So, but you don't think they'll.
We don't think so, but we want to know for a fact. Because they're bringing the engineer analysis to the study. I would anticipate that's safe. So
As
we
long
do.
as they're taken care of.
So
So who seconded this?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you.
and the town council, myself, Parks and Rec, we're all excited about the bike club track.
Yeah.
We're glad to see it going in.
Roll, you're up.
And if we have the plans, and our plans was part of.
He's retired now. Very much, I write to this day. Jeremy Bauer. My nephew. But it's just,
He's a great guy.
yeah, it's not about him, it's about everybody that rides it. They ride every day. Right. That's a big. That's a very good thing that you guys are doing. Really, biking community is a very healthy, very organized group. Look forward to working connected. Who's that?
Oh, it's yeah,
Reiner is.
Reiner, yeah.
So do
He's
we
really
have any
happy where he's at.
questions, Jackie? About?
No, I'm all set. Thanks.
I just want to say, as a rule, I'm very against giving money to big entities more than what they. It's very responsible. However, in this case, is ARPA funds, which is already taken out of the taxpayers' pockets federally. We have it. This is an absolute amazing cause. Used, I'm sure, by many, many, many people. That it will give them exactly.
I'd like to just update you.
We don't see any more funding needed other than what we're doing.
But you can see that,
Well,
well, here you go,
still-
here's what's really got
well,
us.
Yes, we do need more funding, but we're not asking.
At the moment.
The town council did tell them though, they, for some reason came up short.
I believe it. Strength of what we have done. so far. That leads to apply towards programming. That will put bicycles. We'll set up a gathering place there. We'll be able to invite this from buzz, leadership and camaraderie that I feel really positive to be able to achieve that. That's what aiming for is their kids.
We have 501c.
Yeah, and so we're learning about other opportunities.
We have a minute. Wait for our second.
Okay, sure.
Well, we do a lot of stuff. Sorry. Any more questions, Al? Would you like to discuss the pump track?
This is the pump right there. And then we have a different one here. that
We're funding the bike path.
That's more of a trend.
Different.
Yeah, this is a little.
Kind of like doing a skateboard park in a way.
It's like
for
a
bikes.
skateboard
Yeah,
park for bikes.
right.
Sure is.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's the end of Depot.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
It's on the
we got
backside.
that,
Yeah.
quite a bit of land there for that. Currently, I don't see a lot of people. That's all for this. Do it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's about.
So well, that park there, it's nice and everything, just. Like it's so close.
Okay. And no further questions. I'm gonna call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that passes 4-0 to 0. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The
Thank
next
you.
item on the agenda, I'd like to have the quickly read climate action plan grant into the record for me, please. You can do it.
Resolution endorsing the acceptance. Resident resilience. Fund to enhance health. Whereas. Climate resilience. Whereas solicitation. Fund which will be used financially, and resilience. Whereas the Office of Planning and Development. Yes. November. And whereas the development made in the March 20 resolution to address climate change, resilience, and sustainability. Rural areas. State manager. And whereas in the capital other funding opportunities, many of which funding requested. Whereas on June 14th of 2023, the state of Connecticut Office of Planning and Development Services, climate action and proposal out there. It resolved that on July 3rd, 2023, first the acceptance the climate resilience for such program. Begin further. That the crisis reaction. We accept the $200,000.
So move. You have
No,
to
you-
move, you have to
move
go
it.
so move.
Second,
Like that, Kathy. Okay, Megan, can you give us a brief, overview of the funding and, like, we understand and we have what you wrote, but is there anything you'd like to add to what we're doing here? How it's
Yeah.
gonna impact our community, please?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on the agenda tonight. So just to highlight a little bit of the context of this, this funding program through the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, this is brand new. So we submitted this proposal to the very first solicitation. We're really excited that we were on the list of 21 entities receiving funding. We requested $200,000 for the development of a climate action plan. This climate action plan was a big part of my job description as it was, as I was hired to fulfill. So that it's been a big focus of my position to try to get the funding in place to make this happen for the town. Although the town has done a variety of climate planning efforts, we don't have a comprehensive plan. So we really don't have a roadmap of what we need to be prioritizing. We don't have goals that we're measuring our progress against. And so this planning process is going to help us with all of that. And a big part of the Deep Climate Resilience Fund is really helping develop pipelines of projects. So the state is hoping to help local partners do this plan, these types of planning processes so that we can be building towards projects that we could go after federal funding for. So with all the money coming through the Inflation Reduction Act and the Investment and Jobs Act, Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. There's lots of money to be gone after and to be sought, but a lot of those federal programs ask you for the greater context of the project. They want to see identified in a planning a project. So it's really important then that we have this plan to be able to point back to when we're going after future federal funding requests. So in a nutshell, this is going to be building our roadmap for our climate action moving forward. It's going to be a big part of what sets my direction and my position in upcoming years. We want to do this with really robust community engagement. We want to be, trying a variety of techniques to get people involved in the process who haven't been involved before. With this, we're going to be looking at both mitigation and adaptation. So mitigation is what actions we can take to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, reduce our carbon footprint. So with that, we're looking at things like how are we pursuing solar projects, conversion of municipal fleet to electric vehicles, upgrades to our own municipal facilities to technologies that are more energy efficient. And then on the adaptation side, it's all about how we are grappling with and preparing for the impacts of climate change in terms of things like sea level rise, extreme heat, drought, big deluges of water from these larger precipitation events we're getting. So how are we helping our community prepare and deal with the impacts that we're already facing today? So on both sides there, like I said, we're going to be setting goals. We're going to be building out the priority actions that we need to take to achieve those goals. We're going to be also thinking about how we are going to be tracking and sharing our progress moving forward. We want this to be really transparent. And I think it's really important to note too that the plan is really just the start of the conversation. So we're going to do a ton of work to build out this plan, but it doesn't then just go on a shelf from there. Like I said, it's going to be setting a lot of my priorities. It's going to be helping us figure out who are the different partners and responsible parties to help get these things done. And then really, once the plan is created, we're transitioning straight into implementation. How are we getting these projects in the ground?
Great. Do you have any questions for Megan?
Sounds great.
Representative Fritchie, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Okay.
I can see your plan sort of, is it aimed specifically on how to reduce the climate impact or how to react to the climate impact we feel like we're not going to resolve, coming from other parts of the country?
Yeah, it's so a big part of what we're going to be doing is what's called a vulnerability assessment. So with a vulnerability assessment, we pull in all of the best data available and we try to really understand what the projected impacts are going to be. So kind of an easy example of this is sea level rise mapping. There's all sorts of data sets out there that we can use to see, okay, how is that water rising impacting our land surface? What roads do we have there? What homes do we have there? What critical facilities, DPW facilities do we have there? And so then we can really start planning for, okay, over time, how can we either reduce that impact or how can we make changes because we know that the impact is coming?
Is this resilience thing is a word that became popular in our club in Montreal. We've been talking about that we might have to lift the dock because of the water. So water, the height of the water, I can just tell you my mother's basement on Coppell Region's Mystic was swamped over Christmas last year. All kinds of, but it's really water, I think, that people are most scared of, and maybe hurricane activity and other things, but also just the fires that they're experiencing everywhere when it's super dry heat. And everybody's worried about it, but they don't know what to do about it. So one question would be, is private sector being prevented by this, or is it public sector that mostly is the aim of your study? and the potential dangers.
Yeah, so I like to think that through the study, we're going to be trying to do a ton of outreach. A lot of the recommendations are going to be what can we as a town of Groton to do? But with that, in my mind, it's not just, okay, how do we take care of our municipal buildings? It's a lot of what are the programs that we can put in place to help provide support to people, to help people understand what's coming in the future so they can prepare. And I think private sector can be a really interesting partner in that. So for example, we're doing some of this work in downtown Mystic resiliency and sustainability project right now that we're going to be building off of. And a big part of why Mystic was selected was because you have such a mix there of private residences, homeowners, private property, but then you also have this huge economic driver for the entire town. So we as a town of Groton, we need to understand those impacts there and how it's going to affect our business community as well, how it's going to impact our residents, so that we could then start to, work with all of those various stakeholders to try to figure out what are the supportive things that we can be doing, how can we assist them, and how can they play a role in our work moving forward.
This included on all that, this will be my last one.
Okay,
Somebody else.
go ahead.
But, creates a thought.
I have one question for you, Megan. As you provide this information to us, we get, quarterly updates from ECD. If you could include your notes and your progress through the grant for the planning, and I think that would help all bodies, both the RTM members as well as the council. And I know the council will be, more than happy. This is a great, in my opinion, it's proactive to making things better for not just business and community. You've stated very well, in my opinion, what this is going to do to help our community, because this global event is going on all around the world. So, it's good that we're ahead of the curve a little bit. I mean, we're not going to stop it, but we're sure going to get ready to prepare for it. So, that's
Exactly.
as long as we get updates, I think there'll be more funding coming your way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to provide whatever updates can be helpful to you.
Are you thinking about ordinances that would be implemented to prevent people setting themselves up for a dangerous situation?
I think potentially, I think that, taking a look at our own policies and regulations is part of this. And interestingly, with we've had 2 public meetings for that Mystic study, and that was something that came out from a lot of the people who attended as a priority. They were asking those questions of like, well, how does zoning interact with this? And gosh, thinking about people who want to build in downtown Mystic moving forward or want to make improvements, like how does that play into this now that we have a better idea of this funding? So I think that side of things definitely is going to be an aspect of this planning effort as well.
Representative Chase has a question.
So Megan, how did you arrive at 600,000 since you don't know who the contractor is going to be for this?
Yeah, so how did we arrive at 200,000? There were a couple of factors that we considered. One was the purview of the grant program itself. So the grant program essentially said in the request for proposals that they anticipated providing grants up to 200,000, although you could ask for, I think, up to 250. So I kind of chuckled when I saw the press release of who was receiving awards, because it turns out a lot of other entities asked for a little bit more and were successful. We kind of played by the rules and said, okay, you anticipate awards up to 200,000, that's what we'll ask for. A big part of this, though, that's been a huge benefit to us is that in the FY22 budget, we have some funding that was allocated for this as well. So that provides us, now we have these 2 sources with a more sizable budget. I think it was also probably really instrumental in showing the grant reviewers how serious we are about this, right? Like we're putting our own funding on the line as well. And that shows the commitment of the town, the importance that the town is putting on this. I think from professional experience, I think with the funding available, we have more than enough to do a really robust planning process. And so I feel confident, John Reiner with OPDS also felt confident that 200 would kind of cover the bases of a lot of really exciting things that we want to do, and be a comfortable point to start soliciting contractors from.
One more question. I don't see match in the budget, so I'm assuming that's not a requirement.
Correct.
Is that at Massett?
Just a quick question. Have you given any thought? I realize that right now you're concentrating on Mystic. Has any thought been given to perhaps asking Electric Boat and Pfizer? Because they are right there, virtually at the mouth of the Sound.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I asked the city of Groton a similar sort of question, because they recently, within the past year, put together a resiliency action plan that's specific to the city. And so when I was talking with them, I was trying to get a feel for who was part of their steering committee, who did they work with, to also kind of get at that question. I think, if we're able to make those connections, it would be fantastic. The more people that we can have involved, especially huge parts of our economic engine of town who have huge amounts of employees who are being impacted by climate change, their operation is being impacted by climate change, it would be a tremendous win if we could involve them.
Okay.
I'm not sure
Right.
their appetite for participation, but if we were able to make the right connections and make that happen, in my mind, the door is wide open to anyone who wants to participate in this. And we're going to be actively trying to get as many people, as many groups involved as possible.
Okay, that's great to hear. All right, thank you.
And that's great. I don't see any more questions, and I'm sure there'll be plenty when you come before us again, Megan, because, that we have a great body, and, our government works really well together as a group. So we really appreciate your efforts on all of this. So I'm going to ask for a vote. All those in favor, let's say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions? Thank you for your time, Megan, and we look forward to
Thank you,
your
Megan.
plan, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of community outreach from all of this. Anyway, we're done with our business. I take a motion to adjourn.
So move,
Okay.
Jack.
All right. Thank you so much. You guys have a great evening.
Excellent.
you
Thank you so
too.
much.
Good night.
Bye, see you next
Bye.
week.
See you soon.